belts made of rope.
You're a true knight. And there's no true knight among you!
A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms behind the scenes trailer revealed a lot of new details. We got our first look at Maekar Targaryen's armor, the Kingsguard's book accurate armor, and 3 different armors for 3 different Targaryens. We also saw Prince Aerion Targaryen's new golden 3-headed dragon sigil, Aerion carrying a replica of Daemon Targaryen's dagger, and confirmation that House Targaryen has already lost the Catspaw Dagger at this point in the timeline. We also spotted a wolf, a tree, and Harrenhal depicted on shield statues around the tourney grounds. So if you have missed details like these, then this is the video for you. In this video, I'll break down every single scene from this trailer frame by frame. So stay tuned for that. Greetings Throne Watchers. In my last 2 videos, I already covered the events chronologically. So this time, we are going purely frame by frame, focusing on what's in each shot rather than retelling the entire story. Once again, this video will contain mild spoilers, which are unavoidable when analyzing trailer footage. Also, I'll be starting a Knight of the Seven Kingdoms live streams 30 minutes after each episode ends. I'll share more details about that later. So, let's begin. The first shot shows Dunk looking to his left, seemingly surrounded by Ashford men-at-arms. Behind him, you can see the banners of House Harding and House Dondarrion. Next, we get a closer angle of the sun and the crescent moon symbols on the orange tents. I discussed these symbols in my A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms promotional photos breakdown video. As I discussed in that video, it doesn't seem like these tents belong to any house in Westeros. And then it hit me. What if these belong to the Kingdom of the Three Daughters, aka the free cities of Lys, Myr and Tyrosh, which used to be called the Triarchy in the past. I already discussed the Triarchy in my House of the Dragon Season 2 Episode 8 breakdown, the Greens video. Next, we see the small folks returning after the first day of the tourney. We then see Dunk digging Sir Arlan's grave, which is where the story will begin. Next, we see Lord Lionel Baratheon's squire holding his antlered great helm behind his horse. You can tell this is the same scene from the trailers where I mentioned the flower engraving on the pommel of Lionel's sword, because you can see this woman and this fence behind Lionel in the trailer as well. Then we see Dunk carrying Egg on his shoulders. I honestly thought this scene might be skipped because the trailer showed them watching the tourney side by side, but I love how faithful they are to the books. It made me really happy to see this scene adapted as well. This moment perfectly captures Dunk's humility and how he treats Egg like family. For me, Dunk and Egg are the most wholesome duo in Westeros. Moving on, next we see Dunk in his armor moving before the knights and asking them to join his cause. We also get another angle of this same moment later, which I'll come back to. Then we see someone riding 2 horses at once. Is this a knight or a performer? What do you think? Either way, it shows that the tourney includes far more than just jousting, like jugglers, puppeteers, tug of war, and other entertainments. Then we see the tourney going late into the night. In this shot, from left to right, we can see Lord Lionel Baratheon in a yellow and black surcoat. He is facing an Ashford knight who, if we go by the books, should be Lord Ashford's son, Sir Robert Ashford. I can't tell who the third knight is. Next to him, we can see Sir Baelor Hightower in a green and yellow surcoat. You can see his shield more clearly in this shot. You can also see a Tully shield next to his, so this must be Maekar Tully. Next to him is someone in red and gold, and we know which house these colors belong to. Yes, the Lannisters. So this must be Lord Tybolt Lannister. Next to him are Sir Humphrey Harding and Sir Andrew Ashford. So based on these shots and the books, the matchups will be Lionel Baratheon versus Robert Ashford, a knight, probably Prince Valar, versus Sir Baelor Hightower, Humphrey Harding versus Maekar Tully, Tybolt Lannister versus Andrew Ashford, etc. In my trailer breakdown video, I had theorized that the incident will take place on the second day of the tourney instead of the first day like in the books. There were many hints for that. For example, the tourney going late into the night where Sir Humphrey is participating, Aerion watching the tourney from the dais at night. And as I discussed in my trailer breakdown video, we know the Aerion versus Sir Humphrey scene will take place in the evening. But I had decided to believe they will stick to the books earlier. Honestly, I'll be happy with that change. Dunk missing the second day always felt so unfair in the books. I'll just be glad if he got to enjoy the tourney for 2 days instead of just one. Next we see different angles of Sir Stephen and Raymond Fossaway's training. In this shot, you can see Stephen Fossaway with a cloth-wrapped sword, which I had mentioned in my promo pic breakdown video. In the back, you can see Sweetfoot and Dunk. Behind Stephen is House Baratheon's camp. You can make out Lionel Baratheon's pavilion by the stag figurehead on top of it. There are other Baratheon tents and banners around it. Then we see a clip of Dunk in his armor. He is holding his great helm and is looking really nervous. My guess is this is right before Steely Fate will help him put it on. Next is the raised dais where Prince Baelor, Maekar, Aerion and Lord Ashford watch the tourney. As I had mentioned before, there are 2 knight statues near the front gate, which we will get a closer look later. And once again, the center shield statues does not display the Ashford sigil, something I find very interesting. Why are the Ashford shields only front and center and not in the middle of the tourney grounds? What do you think? Then we see some knights charging ahead in the tourney. You can make out Sir Humphrey Harding in the middle lane. If this is the same scene we discussed earlier, then the person next to him should be Andrew Ashford. Then we see the practice of Aerion vs Dunk fight scene that we discussed in my trailer breakdown video. Next we see Tansel's puppet show where a dragon is breathing fire at a shield. My guess is this is the same scene we saw in the trailers where the dragon was breathing flames at a knight who was hiding behind his shield. Then we see Dunk pointing his sword at someone or just practicing with it. After that, we see Dunk at Steely Fate's smithy, turning his armor. Behind him, you can see gauntlets lying on an anvil and a chainmail and some pauldrons hanging on the wall. Then we see Dunk burying Sir Arlan and saying, "You were a true knight." Sir Arlan was a father figure in Dunk's eyes, and you can see how much Dunk idolized him. On Dunk's waist, you can see the sword belt I had discussed in my promo pics breakdown video. This shot confirms that Dunk has tied a horseshoe to a rope to create a makeshift belt and support his long sword, which Egg points out later.
Your belt's made of rope.
Then we see Dunk either heading to the inn or to Ashford, most likely Ashford, because in the next scene, we see him arrive at Ashford and looking at the tourney ground. I have already discussed this shot in my previous video, and in this one, behind Dunk, you can make out orange tents with what looks like a sun and a crescent moon symbol on top of them. Then we get a broader shot of the tourney grounds. As you can see here, 5 lanes have been created for the 5 champions to be challenged. You can also see the door to go to the raised dais. We'll see this door later as well. To the right of the screen, you can see the banners of House Baratheon and what looks to be either a Lannister or a Fossaway banner. It looks like a red apple to me, but the whole banner also looks red instead of yellow to me, so I can't be 100% sure if it's a Fossaway banner. And the 2 knights in this shot seems to be wearing red and gold. That makes me think of the Lannisters. Which banner do you think it is, Lannister or Fossaway? Next to them, you can see the gate to the tourney grounds, from which Dunk was looking in when he first arrived at Ashford. You can see the 2 jousting knights statue in front of the gate, and maybe it's just me, but I feel like there is a Lannister banner behind the gate as well. What do you think? Then we see jugglers performing in front of a crowd, while some rich looking people in red robes who could either be merchants or some minor lords watching the show. Next we see Dunk watching the puppet show. This is probably the same scene we saw in the trailers. As you can see here, Dunk is wearing his cloak. Remember how I mentioned in my previous video that Dunk's clothing can give you an idea of the timeline? So this is probably from the first or the second day of the tourney. Then we get an overhead shot of people walking around in the busy streets of Ashford town. And then we see an old lady. I think this scene will take place when Dunk will walk through the Ashford town. Then we see Targaryen banner bearers entering the Ashford castle, likely from the scene where Aerion mistakes Dunk for a stable boy. You can spot the Ashford banner behind them. Next we see Dunk with Ashford men at arms. I think this is from the tug of war scene, which I've already discussed in my promotional photos breakdown video. Next we see singers beneath a yellow pavilion. It seems like Lionel Baratheon is throwing a feast. Then we see Dunk eating and later sitting at the table with other knights. Judging by the half coat, it feels like this might be the first or second night of the tourney, and based on the look on his face, he totally sneaked in uninvited and feels like he doesn't belong among noble company. Then we see Dunk dancing with Lionel Baratheon. It feels like they will get drunk and will start dancing in Lionel's pavilion. Behind them, you can make out a chandelier made of antlers and House Baratheon's banner hanging from the wall. We also see someone else jumping in, and if we look at the cast photos, he looks like Gavin Baratheon, but I can't be 100% sure. I think this scene is from the same scene from the trailers where Dunk will get drunk and wear Lionel's antlered crown. Then we see Dunk jumping and probably getting warmed up for the filming. Next to him, you can see some stalls. It seems all of the stalls here will have the same decorations. We will see a similar stall in the tug of war scene, which I'll discuss later. Behind Dunk, there is a giant pavilion which, based on its colors, might be Lionel Baratheon's, or it could be someone else's. What do you think? Then we see Sweetfoot and the other horses and Dunk trying out Sir Arlan's longsword next to them. I have already discussed this scene and these horses in my trailer breakdown video. We then see the filming at the inn. Do you think this is the same camera we discussed in my promo photos breakdown video? Then we see Dunk arriving at the inn and meeting Egg for the first time. The show has made another change here. In the books, Egg emerges naked from a stream when Dunk arrives. So far, I like all of the changes I've seen on the show. So naturally, I have high expectations. In this shot, you can see some shovels and pitchforks etc. next to Egg, and behind him, you can also see the door to the stables. This is where Dunk tells Egg to see to his horses. Then we see Dunk either heading to or arriving at Ashford. Based on the lighting, the sun seems to be setting. Which one do you think it is? Then we see Dunk and Egg again at the inn, but this time inside the stables. Egg points out that Dunk's belt is made of rope. Behind Egg, you can see Sir Arlan's chainmail and helm, which Egg was wearing when Dunk returned to the stables. If you zoom in on Dunk's sword belt, you can see the horseshoe I mentioned in my promo pic breakdown video. Next we see Egg talking to Lionel inside a yellow pavilion, which I think might belong to Lionel Baratheon. You can also see Lionel's antlered sword hilt from the trailers. Then we see Dunk and Egg in the tug of war scene we discussed in the promo pic breakdown video. You can see the Ashford flag in the middle of the rope, which will probably decide who will win. You can see Lionel Baratheon to the left of the screen, and it looks like at least one woman on the left will be participating in the game. I thought the one to the right was also a woman, but another shot revealed that it was a guy. And behind Dunk, you can see the stall I mentioned earlier, which has the same decorations hanging from the awning. Then we see Dunk and Egg either going to or returning from the Ashford castle. It's likely the same scene from the trailer where Egg asks Dunk why does he let those royal lapdogs treat him like they are better than him. I love how it bothered Egg that other knights weren't giving Dunk enough respect, because Egg holds Dunk in high regard. Then we see the same clip from the trailer where Dunk wants Egg not to run away. I've also discussed this scene in my previous video. Then we see Dunk and Egg sitting at a stall, and behind them, the shape of the pavilion looks similar to the one where Dunk was jumping. Whose pavilion do you think it is? Next we get a closer look at the decorations hanging from a vegetable stall's roof. Then we see Peter, aka Dunk, listening to George R.R. Martin. They are filming the training scene from the trailers. Behind them, you can make out some red tents with a red and golden banner, which means it could be House Lannister's camp, but I'm not 100% sure. Why? I'll tell you in a minute. And later we see George R.R. Martin watching the filming of Dunk passing through and watching Stefan and Raymond sparring. Later we get another angle of this shot. Based on the trailers, Dunk passes in front of this Lannister camp where he says, I'm not sad, which means he is probably returning after meeting Lord Manfred Dondarrion. In my trailer breakdown video, I mentioned Dunk would meet the whore who calls Hedge Knights sad in front of Lord Manfred's pavilion. But the reason I'm not 100% sure this is a Lannister camp is because when you zoom in on the camp, you can see two red banners. One is clearly the red and gold of House Lannister, but there is another red and gold banner next to it, but the sigil seems more like bunny ears to me than the golden lion. Which banner do you think it is? In this shot, Dunk is passing through and sees Sir Stephen and Raymond Fossaway sparring. If you zoom in on Chestnut, you can see a shovel, saddlebags, flasks and wineskin bottles on him. In front of Dunk, you can also see someone who looks like Raymond Fossaway, and to his left, there are two Fossaway shields that Stephen and Raymond would use. On the left of the screen, you can see the Baratheon black and yellow camp where people are breaking their fast next to the tents. Next we see another clip from the trailer of Sir Humphrey Harding and Sir Humphrey Beesbury clashing in the tills, and you can see the audiences, including Dunk's and X, reactions to it. In this shot, a woman is raising a horn of ale to cheer them on. And in the next shot, you can also see a couple more people raising their cups and cheering. We can also see several people raising golden or black flags. So my guess is there are different flags distributed among the small folks to support their favorite knights. Next we see a closer look at the statues of a knight and 3 Ashford shields. In another shot, you can clearly see another knight's statue on the other side of the ground. As you can see here, these 2 knights' statue and the 3 shields are used to create 5 lanes for the jousting. The shields in the middle have different sigils than the Ashford one. Since there are no barriers here, I guess they are filming the trial scene. Then we see a closer look at another statue which is located in front of the raised dais. After that we see the viewing stand behind it and the Ashford sun in it. Next we see Prince Aerion's new golden 3-headed dragon sigil. It's a bit different from the books, but I like it because it reminds me of Aegon II's sigil from House of the Dragon. The end of the shield seems to be bent and you can see a lot of blood on it. If you've read the books, you already know what this means. Next we see back-to-back clips of Dunk and Aerion wearing their great helms and preparing for the trial to begin. Then we get our first look at one of the Kingsguards and his armor. This is the most book-accurate Kingsguard armor up until now, with white armor and white cloaks. Behind the Kingsguard, on the shield statue I've discussed so many times, it looks like a tower which is crumbling with 2 people sitting inside it. Do you think what I am thinking? Could it be showing the Tower of Harrenhal? I've already discussed Harrenhal in detail in my Harrenhal's Curse and House of the Dragon Season 2 Episode 5 breakdown videos. What do you think it is? At the front, we see Prince Aerion Targaryen in his badass armor. But the most interesting thing in this shot is his dagger. Did you notice the dagger on his waist? For a second, my heart skipped a beat and I was like, wait, that's Daemon's dagger. So I went back to my House of the Dragon detailed images and compared the 2 daggers. Although they are 2 different daggers, Aerion's dagger is obviously a replica of Daemon Targaryen's dagger. I've already discussed Daemon's dagger multiple times in both my House of the Dragon details you might have missed videos and on our A Watch Party of Ice and Fire podcast. This means either Aerion had this dagger made to look like Daemon's or he found one similar to his and kept it. Either way, it confirms what I said about the Catspaw Dagger in my trailer breakdown video. That if House Targaryen still had the Catspaw Dagger, Aerion would be showing it off every chance he gets because he is proud of his Targaryen heritage. If Aerion had the Catspaw Dagger, he wouldn't have needed a copy of Daemon's dagger. This proves that House Targaryen has lost the Catspaw Dagger at this point. Then we also get our first look at Prince Maekar's armor. His armor is all black with a black 3-headed dragon on his breastplate. So far, we have seen 3 Targaryens with 3 distinct armors, but all in black. As you can see here, Prince Baelor is wearing Valar's black armor with stripe engravings on it. Aerion's has spikes on his black armor and his great helm has red flames on the top. And Prince Maekar has the most normal looking black armor with a black 3-headed dragon on it. I cannot wait to see Darren's armor. Do you think it will be a simple armor or something more flashy like Aerion's? Then we see Lionel Baratheon and Raymond Fossaway on their horses, probably right before the trial begins. Next we see Dunk and Lionel Baratheon under a checkered tent. As I discussed in my previous video, this means they are in the feasting tent, not in Lord Lionel's pavilion, which is completely yellow, unless it's Lionel's pavilion that has this checkered pattern on his tent. We have seen a wet Dunk in a checkered tent in the trailers. But I'm leaning more toward the feasting tents because besides the reasons I mentioned in my previous video, we see another shot of Dunk walking outside a checkered pavilion which looks completely different from Lionel's. You can also see several tables and benches outside this tent, which might have been for the customers. And since Dunk is wearing his half coat here, we know it's not his first day in Ashford. This is probably on the first or the second day of the tourney. Then we see the tug of war scene. As I discussed in my previous video, Dunk will first join the Ashford men-at-arms alone, but later Dunk and Lionel Baratheon will also join his team and will help him win. That's probably where they will get acquainted with each other. Next we see another shot of the jousting with the Ashford shields in the front. This is from the same scene we discussed earlier, where Lord Lionel Baratheon, Baelor Hightower and Sir Humphrey Harding are charging forward. What I love about this shot is that we can also see their squires running back so they can grab another lance and run to their masters to hand them over for the next round. For some reason, it makes this feel more real, if it makes any sense. Once again, we get a wider shot of the tourney ground. Besides the knights and the shield statues, you can see some other details as well. For example, near the Baratheon and the Lannister or Fossaway banner, you can see a knight in black and red, who I think is Prince Valar. Behind Valar, there is also a lake, and behind the lake, there seems to be a bridge. Next, we see Targaryen men-at-arms in black clothing, burning and destroying things, and a shocked Dunk looking at them. In this shot, you can see this shock slowly turning into anger. Then we see another angle of Stefan and Raymond's training. You can see the post on which Sir Stefan was leaning on in the promo pictures. And behind them, on the horse statues we discussed earlier, you can clearly see that the shield has Ashford's sigil on it. Then we see Prince Aerion throwing his lance away and taking out his morning star. This shot confirms that the shield we saw earlier was Prince Aerion's. And I've already mentioned what happens next in my trailer breakdown video. Then we get another shot of Steely Pate helping Dunk with his armor. Next we see Egg running and barely managing to hold Dunk's lance, because we know how stubborn Egg can be and he wanted to be the one to hand over Dunk's lance to him. Then we see the shot from the trailer where Dunk is lagging behind while the others are charging ahead. You can see the gate behind Dunk from the trailer, which means it's the starting point, as Aerion's side has the knight statues on both sides of the gate. In this shot, you can spot the Tully and Ashford shield, and you can also see the shield statue on the ground. Is it just me, or does the sigil seems like a wolf to you too? Which sigil do you think it is? Let me know in the comments below. Then we see the scene from the trailers where Aerion strikes Dunk with his morning star and Dunk falls to the ground. I've already discussed this scene in detail in my trailer breakdown video. Next we see the small folks rioting. They are running past the barrier and storming the tourney grounds. You can see the Ashford and Targaryen men-at-arms along with some other soldiers trying to stop them and hold the line. There are also people taking out their swords behind the small folks. As for the banners, I've already discussed the banners of House Targaryen, Hightower and Targaryen on the grounds. So what do you think happened to make them riot like this? Are you thinking what I'm thinking? Then we see someone opening the door to the tourney grounds, which is located beneath the raised dais. But seeing this guy reminded me of Hodor. I know it's just a fan theory, but do you think we have people with giant's blood in this time as well? I mean besides Dunk, of course. Then we see a different angle of Dunk and Aerion's fight scene. It seems like there's either blood or dirt on his arm. I've already discussed this scene in my trailer breakdown video. As I discussed in that video, it seems like Dunk will attack Aerion with his sword. You can also see a hole in the back of Dunk's surcoat. Do you think Aerion attacked him from behind, or did it get torn up in the fall? Then we see Dunk falling on his knees on the ground, probably at the end of their fight. There is a broken shield on the ground next to him, but it's not Aerion's. The trailer ends with Dunk asking the knights to stand with him. In this shot, we can see two of the shield statues clearly. The one near the fence seems to have a tree in it. The other one seems to have a crumbling tower with two people on top. I've already discussed the other one earlier. Do you think this tree could be a weirwood tree and Harrenhal? Why do you think these sigils are in Ashford? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I'll be streaming my A Night of the Seven Kingdoms live, what this series is about, and favorite characters live stream soon. If you like this video, please hit the like button below, share the video and subscribe to my channel. Have a great day. 7 blessings to you.